and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global TV. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu has banned ministers, heads of agency and other government officials from embarking on public-funded foreign trips. The ban will last for 3 months in the first instance and will take effect on April 1st, 2024. This was contained in a letter dated March 12, 2024, and signed by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, and addressed to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. In January, Tinubu issued an order to reduce the number of people accompanying him on both local and foreign trips, noting that his delegation members should not exceed 25 for local travels and 20 for international trip. President Bola Tinubu has approved what he called a befitting burial for the 17 soldiers who were killed while on peacekeeping mission in Delta State last week. This was as he approved the conferment of post-mortem national honors on the slain soldiers. The special advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Ajirin Galale, disclosed this in a statement. The President, while expressing his heartfelt condolences to the families of the bereaved, pledged that the sacrifices of the fallen heroes would not be in vain. 16 state governors have submitted reports expressing their support for establishing state police to the National Economic Council. They also recommended changes to the Constitution to allow for the creation of state police. The reports were amongst documentations received at the 140th NEC meeting presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. Special advisor to the Vice President of Media and Communications, Stanley Owocha, revealed this in a statement. According to the statement, NEC is still awaiting reports from 20 states. It expressed confidence that others would support. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State has approved the appointment of his brother, Ferdinand Uzodinma, as his Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of General Services. The governor also reappointed Cosmos Iwu as the Secretary to the State Government, Nnamdi Oyechi as his Chief of Staff, and Stanley Agbo as the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations. The three officials served in the same capacities in Uzodinma's first 4 years as governor. Also appointed are Patrick Ikeje as the Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of administration, and Sam Uwobase named as the Special Advisor on Program Publicity Implementation and Monitoring. The Nigerian Senate has passed the Student Loans Access to Higher Education Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024. The Senate's resolution allowed its consideration of the report of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TET Fund. The chairman of the committee, Senator Mintiri Danduse, presented the report during plenary. Kike Lomo Okere has the details.
The core objective of the bill is to provide a legislative framework to support the establishment of Nigerian Education Loan Fund with a view to oversee the general administration of the management and disbursement of the loan to beneficiaries.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had last week written to the Senate and the House of Representatives seeking the repeal of the Student Loan Access to Higher Education Bill and to enact a new one. The bill, which scaled first, second and third reading in both plenary sittings, became law.
The Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TET Fund on the Student Loans Access to Higher Education Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024, and approved as follows. Loan title as recommended. Number of clauses, clauses 1 to 36 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 37 as recommended. Short title, clause 38 as recommended. Schedules 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
On the repayment of the loans by beneficiaries, the bill stipulates that beneficiaries of the fund shall begin as soon as the beneficiaries become employed in any capacity. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
In a bid to create introspective analysis of the National Land Transportation Policy, the Federal Ministry of Transportation, under the leadership of Senator Syed Ahmed Al-Khali, holds a draft National Land Transportation Policy Validation Forum in Abuja. The minister says the draft National Land Transportation NLTP provides a comprehensive assessment of current challenges and proposes strategic responses to enhance the sector, incorporating key considerations such as climate change, capacity building, and inclusive transportation. Global TV, Fauzia Lukman tells us more.
As transport is an important factor in the economic and social development of any nation, where different modes of transport have their specific characteristics, the Minister of Transportation says the policy is geared towards addressing challenges associated with the land transport sector, comprising rail, road, and pipeline. He described the road sector as the weakest but the major burden bearer in the sector, adding that there is an urgent need to develop a policy stating that the land mode is the major linkage to social, regional, national, and international markets.
I must emphasize that the National Land Transport Policy will not in any way deter the finalization of the national policy, but it aims to develop a vibrant transportation system that will reduce congestion, improve connectivity in both rural and urban areas, and foster a sustainable and inclusive transportation system.
The minister also assures that the policy will develop a vibrant land transportation system that would reduce congestion, improve connectivity in both urban and rural areas, and foster a sustainable and inclusive transportation system. He added that the success of the policy would be a win-win for everyone, as it represents the voices of the communities, businesses, civil society organizations, and the general public.
Permit me to emphasize the success of this policy is a win-win for all of us, as we are all represent the voices of communities, business, civil society organizations, and the general public. Let us give all to validate a document that will stand the test of time.
Speaking on the key factor in formulating the policy, stakeholders in the transport sector emphasize on the three policy imperatives to respond to so as to minimize relying on fossil fuels.
How do we make better use of the resources that we have? We have to be more efficient in planning. We have to be more efficient in allocative decisions. And we have to be more efficient in terms of selecting what we do and what we don't. The policy takes note of this, i.e. that we do not and cannot continue to rely on fossil fuel for the various reasons that we're all aware of, and therefore we need to change and begin to see how we can transit.
The goal is to develop a diversified and sustainable transportation energy mix. This is a reflection of the current government disposition to discourage the use of fossil fuel and encourage the use of compressed natural gas. Capacity building, knowledge generation and management.
Land transportation has the potential to boost other areas such as agriculture, commerce, tourism, industry, education, and blue economy, among others. Minister of Transportation added that the policy will be ready in 2 weeks and presented to the Federal Executive Council, FEC, for approval. Fauzia Lukman, Global TV News.
The Nigerian Senate has raised concern over the growing threats posed by the menace of out-of-school children in Nigeria, calling for multi-sectorial intervention to tackle it. The upper chamber says the dangers posed to society by the growing number of out-of-school children is real, citing cases of banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, and other forms of violent crimes as manifestations. Lawmakers expressed their opinions as they debated a motion on the topic compelling need to tackle the challenges of out-of-school children in Nigeria, sponsored by Senator Adubule Idiat Oluranti from Lagos West. Kike Lomo Okere tells us more.
Adebule Idiat, representing Lagos West in our motion, says it has become worrisome, going by 2022 report of the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, that about 20 million Nigerian children are out of school, which represents 10% of the estimated Nigerian population of 200 million people, and also represents the highest number of the out-of-school children from any country globally.
That the social impacts of having about 20 million out-of-school children on the Nigerian state will include impediment to achieving some of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, especially Goal 4, which is to ensure inclusiveness and equitable quality of education and promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all.
Making a contribution, former governor of Edo State, Senator Adams Oshomole, criticized state governors who claimed they could not afford the 50% counterpart fund to assess the UBE program.
It cannot be the truth that every governor can afford to buy the same bulletproof car. We can afford the same state-of-the-art government house, but we cannot afford to pay 50% subsidy to ensure that the child of the poor go to school.
Other senators contributed to the debate by calling on the government at all levels to urgently arrest the trend.
Those of us who will know the reasons, part of the reasons for banditry, will tell you that they are not educated. They don't have anything to do. Once their cows are taken away, they now engage in banditry. In
his remark, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says, since education is the bedrock of all good things in any society, government at all levels should ensure that no school-aged child stay out of school in Nigeria.
Take a cue from what I did when I was governor of Akwa Ibom State. I signed the Child Rights Bill into law and I enshrined a provision of 6 months imprisonment for any guardian or parents that allows a child of school age to roam around the streets, go into hawking or any other venture during school hours. And that way we had enforcers. We had special assistants to the governor on education monitoring, and they went around the state to search from local government to make sure that no child was left behind and no child was in a farm or was on the street or was selling newspapers during school hours. It was quite effective. And then we declared free and compulsory education in the state for all children of school ages, from primary school to senior secondary school, and opening it up to all Nigerian children who were residents in Akwa Ibom State for 8 years.
Kike Lomo Okere, Global Television News.
Ahead of the Ondo State governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has urged civil society organizations, CSOs, to engage with political observers to the main election conducted by the commission. Professor Yakubu made this call while addressing CSOs at its first consultative meeting for the year in Abuja, adding that in doing so will further strengthen CSO advocacy for inclusivity for groups such as women, youths, and persons with disabilities, PWD. They're underrepresented in elective offices at national and state level. Anthony Momodou has the details.
In a strategic meeting with the CSOs, Professor Yakubu Mahmood urged them to submit their observation report, saying it is mandatory as one of the conditions for eligibility to observe future elections. He noted that going forward, the Commission will operate strictly on the policy of no observation report, no accreditation.
Parties will commence their primaries for the governorship election in the next 2 weeks. 16 political parties out of 19 have so far indicated interest in participating in the election. I urge civil society organizations to engage with political parties and observe their primaries just as we engage with INEC and deploy observers to the main election conducted by the Commission. By doing so, you will strengthen your advocacy, particularly for inclusivity, for groups such as women, youth, and persons with disability that are underrepresented in elected offices at national and state level. I want to reassure you that INEC will continue to partner with civil society organizations. We appreciate the observations and recommendations contained in your election.
Responding on behalf of the CSOs, the Executive Director, Sustainable Gender Action Initiative, Mofiliat Fijabi, assures INEC of the commitment of CSOs to a smooth electioneering process. She added that the CSO will not relent in providing a voice for the voiceless in the society.
For an inclusive democratic process driven by the kind of election that we all work together to have in this country. And of course, the fact that civil society organizations already work with political parties would also strengthen its observation of primaries, leading to the emergence of candidates in elections.
The Commission, however, states that the forthcoming off-cycle governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states will hold as follows. The Edo governorship election to hold on Saturday, 21st September 2024, while that of Ondo State is scheduled for Saturday, 16 November 2024. Anthony Momodu reporting for Global Television News.
The chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has cautioned media organizations against fake news and misleading reports ahead of the Edo and Ondo governorship elections. Yakubu gave the caution in Abuja during a consultative meeting with the media. He urged the media and the public to scrutinize and build data and credentials of the candidates when published as provided by law. Michael Adikan tells us more.
The INEC chairman urged media organizations to engage with political parties as well as their aspirants on a report on the primaries with the same diligence and depth they report the main elections conducted by INEC. INEC board further assures that the Commission will continue to collaborate with the media on the activities of the electoral body.
Important reality in today's age of information technology is the spread of fake news and misinformation instantly and on a global scale. As I said on many occasions, INEC does not believe in censorship. The best antidote to fake news is greater openness and transparency. It is in furtherance of this policy that the Commission interfaces regularly with stakeholders through our regular consultative meetings. We appreciate our partnership with the media, and I want to reassure you that INEC will continue to work very closely indeed with you.
In a remark, the President of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Chris Izioguso, says the media will continue to uphold the sanctity of the ballot and safeguard the democratic aspiration of the citizens. He promised that the NUJ will continue to support INEC through accurate reportage of its activities to assist the electorate in making informed decisions.
Together, we must uphold the sanctity of the ballot box and safeguard democratic aspirations of our nation. It is hoped that our collective efforts would pave the way for a brighter, more prosperous future for all Nigerians.
The Independent National Electoral Commission says it will publish the personal particulars of the candidate in Form AC9 for the Edo State governorship election on the 31st of this month as required by law. For the Ondo governorship election scheduled for 16th of November 2024, Professor Yakubu said political parties are expected to commence the conduct of primaries in the next 2 weeks. Adikan Michael, Global TV News.
You're watching Midday News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When Midday News return, Tinubu Airport, Mina gets $3.2 million Army Aviation hangar. This and more stories coming right after this break. Do stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcasts of Midday News. Thank you for staying with us. On our foreign scene, United Nations Security Council is expected to vote as soon as Friday on a United States drafted resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza as the European Union called for humanitarian pause, adding to pressure on Israel to end its 5-month-long bombardment of Palestinian territory. Washington, Israel's franchise ally, has been gradually hardening its tone following its early solid support for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his war in Gaza. The latest draft resolution marks a further toughening of Washington's approach amid rising global condemnation of war in which some 32,000 Palestinians have been killed. UN experts have also warned of an imminent famine as a result of Israel's blockade. Britain's annual inflation rate fell more than expected in February. Official data showed fueling speculations that the Bank of England will cut interest rates this year. Inflation reached 3.4% last month, the lowest level since September 2021, after hitting 4.0% in January. According to the Office for National Statistics, the consensus have been for a consumer price to rise by 3.5% in February. According to the Bloomberg survey, inflation remains well above the Bank of England's 2% target. Russian missiles have struck Ukraine's Kharkiv, knocking out part of the city's power supply, a day after Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky made an urgent appeal to the West to deliver air defense systems. Kharkiv Mayor Ihor Tardar said that 15 blasts had been heard, with missiles causing partial blackouts and disabling the city's water pumps. There was no immediate report of casualties. Ukrainian officials said Russian missiles have also hit Kharkiv rear, which is Zelensky's hometown, and Vystia, both in central Ukraine, damaging critical infrastructure objects in the latter city. Ukraine's state hydropower company stated that a Russian strike hit Ukraine's largest dam, but that there was no risk of a breach. At least 70 people, including a child, were injured by falling debris, 4 of whom are in hospital, authorities said. It is the largest Russian attack in weeks and follows a vow from Moscow for revenge over recent attacks by Ukraine on its border regions. The attack prompted Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky to renew his call for more military aid from Western allies. Several explosions were heard throughout Kyiv shortly before dawn as its anti-missile defense system shot the rockets down. In business and army aviation, hangar worth $3.2 million is to be established at the newly renovated Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Airport in Minna. The coordinator, Nigerian Army Aviation, Brigadier General Musa Al-Khali, told Niger State Governor Muhammad Umaru Bago during a courtesy call in Minna that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Airport in Minna passed all the checklists for the creation of the hangar and the approval of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, as well as the Federal Ministry of Aviation. He said the construction of the hangar, which would be of immense economic benefit to the state, will commence in no distant future, adding that the Minna hangar, when completed, will have 12 attack helicopters, MD-530 series, 10 TB2 UAVs, and 8 Magnus light attack aircraft for surveillance, reconnaissance and patrol, as well as other activities. He further stated that with the creation of the hangar in Minna, the delay associated with maintenance of aircraft will be eliminated, and the elites with private jets can park them in Minna at a minimum cost. Yes, on weekend, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has approved the disbursement of 280.3 million naira in scholarships for 13,946 unprivileged students across all educational levels in the FCT. This announcement was made by Dan Lamin Hayo, Mandate Secretary of the Educational Secretariat for FCT Administration in Gwagwalada. At the event making the rapid rehabilitation of 19 public schools across the Federal Capital Territory, the ceremony was held at the School of the Gifted in Gwagwalada Area Council within the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Yeson Wike, has presented the FCT 2024 statutory budget proposal of 1.147 trillion naira to both the Senate and House of Representatives Committee on FCT. Making the presentation before the Senate Committee, the FCT Minister disclosed that The budget revenue sources will be made up of internally generated revenue, IGR, infrastructure support fund, amongst others. In fulfillment of his pledge to create a new security architecture to secure mining sites, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has charged the 2,220 strong miles Marshall tagged high-in-key cargo to smoke out illegal miners and all those who flaunt the nation's mining laws. Formally receiving the marshals drawn from the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, from the Commandant, General Abubakar Audi, representing the Minister of Interior, Honorable Olubunmi Tunjojo Alake, charged the new operatives to stem theft and all inferiorness activities around the nation's mineral resources, so the nation can reap maximum benefits from the God-given resources. Governor Alex Otti of Abia signed the Abia State of Nigerian Governors and Deputy Governors Pension Repeal Bill of 2024 into law. In a speech assent into the law in Novisa, Otti described the new law as part of efforts made to promote good governance and stewardship in Abia. The governor said that they strongly believe that leadership was all about stewardship and should not be viewed as an opportunity to embezzle public funds. He thanked the Abia State House of Assembly for dealing with the bill and commended them for the cordial relationship between the legislative and executive arms of government. Oti said that the cordial relationship between both arms of government have been built on trust and understanding that the separate arms of government were working together for the people. He assured the legislature of maximum support from the executive. And that's it on Midday News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. See you again. Good afternoon.